So I'm joined now by guitarist Jeff Petrie and guitarist Matt Rose here on the Unnamed Sports Show. They are from the band The Matinee. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. First off, I just want to ask how you both are doing during these difficult times, if you're staying safe and healthy and everything like
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having us, Joshua. Yeah, it's been a good summer, a weird summer, as I'm sure you and everyone are experiencing. It's a different summer than we've ever had in our life, but all things considered, keeping healthy and fairly happy and good in that sense. I mean, from the musical sense, the band perspective, it's been a real challenge because we were supposed to have a fairly busy summer in through fall, and everything we had booked for this year, we found out a while back as things were developing that everything we had planned was getting canceled, and not just canceled and postponed, but there's really there's no idea. No one has any idea, especially in this industry, the entertainment industry, when things are going to be remotely back to normal. But I mean, it's not just entertainment, it's a lot of people. So, but personally, I know Jeff has a newborn and I have two young girls, so it's been great to actually get a summer to spend with them in a family perspective, but tough in the business and the band and the music perspective for sure.
that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's been good at my end, Joshua. Thanks for asking. Like, having a child, April 23rd, he was born. So in the middle of a pandemic, we were at women's hospital, and it was really quiet in there. So that was wonderful. And they were really good. What a great place to be and to go through all of that. But and then we've just been home like a lot. I was working from home for quite a bit, and then back to the office. And it's been, we're trying to make sure we plan enough things outside the house. Just, my poor wife, she's doing such a tremendous job, and she loves the change of scenery as often as we can sort of do it. So, we've had some distance hangs over at Matt and his wife Kate's place. We watched the game one. They put a TV out on their patio, and that was wonderful.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, things have been good. No interruption to work and income for me, and we're blessed. It's been fine. A lot of people have a lot of bigger challenges right now. So.
Well, that's good to hear. So I want to get into some Canucks talking a little bit, but first off, I mean, I just want to talk a bit more about the band. So you guys kind of, you started in 2006, kind of 2007, where you formed it. You'd always been playing music together, and you really kicked things off in 2013 with your album We Swore We'd See the Sunrise. So I just wanted if you guys could talk about what was the idea behind the band, and kind of just how it got started a bit.
I'll have to defer to Matt because he was one of the original two that got it started. I kind of barged my way in about a year later. So.
Well, the core group of guys in the band, we've all been friends before we were really in bands, since back in high school, and even younger with some of us. But so through high school and coming out of high school, music was always a big part of all of our lives, and we were playing in groups together in our late teens, early 20s, some a little more successful than others, and some just for fun and yada, yada, yada. And we kind of reconnected 2006, 2007, like you said. Myself and the singer, two Matts, we connected and decided we wanted to try to write some stuff. And within a year, Jeff was involved. Our drummer Pete was involved, and that became the start of the Matinee. I mean, we put out a couple of albums at the time that were done on shoestring budgets, done in friends' studios, that were fine. We toured a bunch. We actually did well. We were doing everything ourselves independently, and we were making money. And but yeah, 2013 was when we kind of connected with a record label and had a bit of a, the business kind of took off a little bit more. And we've been grinding it out ever since, trying to make a living, and but having a lot of fun along the way, as because I think the friendship was always been there before the band, and so that's what keeps us going, and I think keeps us sane a lot of the time when we're trapped in a van together for weeks and weeks on end.
So you guys were almost prepared for this quarantine, but now you're just with your families instead, which should be almost a nice change, like you were saying.
Yeah, the accommodations are a little nicer when you're sleeping in your own bed every night. Gotta say, and I've been very careful about how I've said this to my wife, because obviously having a brand new kid is such a great adventure, and I love spending this time, like Matt said, at home and getting that, but not having shows on the horizon, not having, we know that our next trip is in a couple weeks and we're headed, off to Montreal, or at least as far as Saskatchewan, or headed south or anything like that. It's kind of tough not having that adventure to look forward to. Like when Matt likened it to a stag, like, it's interesting because it is work. It feels like fun. And we're not as young as we were when we started. If we stay up all hours, and between Canadian markets that are big enough to sustain shows on a Wednesday and a Thursday, you're often driving anywhere from 6 to 10, 12 hours to get to the next gig. So it's not like you can stay up till 5 a.m. anymore and leave at 7 and try to get to Thunder Bay by time for load in and sound check. So it is tough not having that adventure, because there's nothing like, okay, well, work, I'll be back in a few weeks, and off we go, and you just put Vancouver in the rear view and head out on another adventure. And that, I think, is the adventure, and the friendship is like the biggest draws to us. And it is nice to get up on stage and have some people appreciate what you're doing from time to time. Sometimes it's a few, sometimes it's quite a few. So
you mentioned kind of shows on the road and things, and if I'm reading this correctly, you played a bunch of just crazy different places, from like high schools to like army bases to prisons, to the Squamish Valley Music Festival here recently. Like what has been your probably, I guess, most exciting place to play at?
I'd say, like, the big shows like Squamish, like some of the bigger festivals we've been lucky enough to play across the country are exciting. And it's one aspect of it is the crowd size. I mean, like, one show we played in Burlington a number of years ago, the Burlington Sound of Music Festival, and there's we were on right before country artist Doc Walker at the time, and he was headlining, so the crowd was massive, and like, you get up there and you can only sort of see as far as the lights are shining. You just assume it's another few thousand people, and the first song ended, and the roar that came back from that crowd, you were kind of like, oh, holy cow. And then another aspect of it is who else is on the bill. Like, playing those live at Squamish, like getting to stand side stage while, like, the Hip are playing, or Childish Gambino is playing, or something like that, and you're just kind of like, these guys are walking off stage, hey man, just like, it's like you belong there, and it's super fun. And then the other aspect to me, and I think Matt would agree, is like playing those hometown venues that are super special, like the Commodore or the Vogue, that you grew up going and seeing your favorite bands before they got big, and all of that. So hard to pinpoint one for me, but it might be the first time we played the Commodore. For me, that was it took me 2 songs just to catch my breath and remember to breathe.
The Commodore is like, it's any musician from Vancouver, the Commodore is kind of that legendary band. I think actually of one of the ones you mentioned, one of the coolest was, for me, it was one of our first ever acoustic tours back in the late 2000s, was when we played in Cold Lake at the Air Force Base there, which, I mean, I would have never gone to Cold Lake for any other reason than to play music, right? And we played the mess hall. There was a connection to a connection, and we ended up getting a gig there with another band. And it was one of those experiences where we were playing on the base, so it was only playing for members of the
military.
Military. I don't know. Was in Canada? Is it the Air Force?
I think so.
But military. But it was just, they don't get music up there a ton, and they were really grateful for it, and we got to hang around after and like hear a lot of the stories that they were saying, and just kind of getting to hear their side of the story. And we were more excited to hear about the fighter pilots than I think they were to hear about us. I think we were the kids in the candy store at that gig. And then the next day we didn't get to go fly with any of the pilots, but they took us out on the tarmac. We got to sit in like the F-18s or the F-16s.
Oh, cool.
Forget whatever the Canadian fighter jet is. And like, it was pretty wild. And it's just, when would you ever have that opportunity just in your regular day-to-day life, right? But that's kind of one of those things that music has allowed us to do. And that's, again, part of, like Jeff was saying, it's part of the adventure, right? And you get to do some of these cool, crazy things that you otherwise probably wouldn't have a chance to do, right? Like the prison too, right? So.
Okay, so on the other side there, what's the sketchiest, or it might not even have been the prison, because I would imagine there was some pretty good security, but what's the one of the places maybe you guys walked into are like, oh, maybe we shouldn't agreed to do a gig here? And you don't have to name it, obviously. We don't want to throw any bad press at anybody. We don't need that, but I'm sure there's got to be one of those experiences for you guys.
Well, it's funny, like sometimes weather can be that factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's an outdoor gig, and like I remember playing up at Kicking Horse Mountain is that Golden or Rebel Oak, one of the two. And beautiful day, we drive up, we're setting up on this outdoor stage, and like over the ridge that we're facing just comes this like black wall of clouds and everything, and snow and rain and sleet falling on your pedal boards and blowing in from the side. Like we've played in minus 32, 33 in Whitehorse. But it's often those shows where people are most appreciative. They're out there freezing their butts off too, and they're just happy that there's something going on to break the monotony of the winter or whatever it is. Sketchy shows. I don't know.
Not many places in Canada that are that sketchy. I think down in the States, some of the smaller towns are a little bit sketchier. I remember us doing a gig in Oregon. We did a theater in Klamath Falls somewhere, and the next night we played a sketchy little bar just to do a gig, and it was like, it had a feel of you felt like a real outsider, and I don't think our safety was ever in question, but you just felt like you didn't belong there from the get-go. And it's a little intimidating, and people are grateful, but I don't know, certain places you definitely do feel like a bit of an outsider. But you still got to play, right? That's the fun of it, right?
Yes, the show must go on regardless of the weather or So I'm joined by Matt Rose and Jeff Petrie of the Matinee on the Unnamed Sports Show. So you guys are huge Canucks fans. I see you tweeting about it all the time there from the account, the Matinee account. And so I want to get into some Canucks talk. What do you guys make of the first two games of the series so far?
I can't say I'm super surprised about the first game. Could have gone anyway. I guess that's an easy thing to say, but knowing the style of play that the Minnesota plays, and knowing how just even this season, like Vancouver has struggled with really disciplined defensive style games from the opposition. Like you just sort of knew it could go either way, but also not surprising in game two that there was a big bounce back. And, once the guys had the lay of the land, finding a way to create that space using their speed, I don't think it was all because Jake Virtanen was in the lineup, but that is the big hot topic of the week right now. So
hey, shotgun. No, we need shotgun. We can't be doing the shotgun Jakes if shotgun Jake isn't in the lineup.
It's given these guys so much sports talk fodder, the Jake Virtanen stuff, and now I just saw Ferland is officially leaving the bubble.
Yeah,
I'm just tweeting about it. He's headed back to Vancouver, so that's not good.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that Rick Dollywell and Elliot Friedman had reported that he's just gone home, and that is a shame too, because hopefully it's bigger than hockey. When you're having concussion issues, so hopefully that Michael Ferland can get his health in order.
Yeah, of course. And Rick Dollywell, by the way, he's the GOAT. Like, how Sportsnet let him go, and he is just seamlessly fits into everything he does on 1040. Whether he's co-hosting, if Donnie or the Moj is gone, or any of his bits, or pregame, postgame, like I love Dollywall. I love everything he brings to that station, and he backs it up. We did an interview with Sakaris for like a little Q&A thing we were doing, and we asked him like, how does Dollywall get these scoops? Like he always seems to know. Like I even remember there was a Botchford quote from a couple of years ago where he said anytime he thought he'd broken a story, Dollywall had always beat him to the punch. Like he always was the first. And Matt told us, he's like, yeah, Dollywall has been working. His specialty is the agents, which he talks about openly, and he's been working those relationships for so long. And I love everything that he brings to the Canadian, like to the Vancouver sports radio and sports talk scene. I think he's a legend, and I love hearing him on 1040.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, Rick is an absolute beauty. I was lucky enough to have him on an episode of my show.
Nice.
And yes, and he actually ended up dropping. So I was listening back to it, and he ended up dropping. I was like, wait, Rick just said so-and-so signed in the KHL. So I tweeted it out, and then Rick right away messaged me. He's like, Josh, can you take that down? I didn't mean to say that. The agent's going to get really mad at me.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yep, sorry, Rick, sorry.
Oh,
yeah, you could have been that
ruined your source.
Yeah, I don't know, Rick. Yeah, but Rick's
one rule.
Rick's been great. He's actually been a really huge help for me. So, Rick, thank you again. Hopefully, I don't bother you too much with my messages and texts all the time. So
that's a good thing about this, like the community is like it seems like people are really. Sorry, did I cut out there for a sec?
No,
it seems like people are really supportive on the media side. Like I know that. There's like the media side, and then there's kind of the pseudo media side, and there's a lot of people that are trying to score points off each other and stuff like that. But like the real true people, like they're all class, and they know who they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I know who you're talking about. There's a definite group of some good people, and then you hear it, and they take care of. And shout out to, they don't care what networks or whatever affiliates they work for. They're quite happy to give somebody praise or say how good Dan Murphy's doing on TSN or how good so and so is doing on Sportsnet. So it's really great to see in this market. And it's very uplifting to see the amount of people that just kind of want to take action and be like, hey, I like the Canucks. I'm gonna do a blog. I'm gonna start a thing. Start a podcast. Maybe people want to hear me. Which is just great because some of the stuff that I've heard is just awesome, and like the different takes that we get is pretty neat.
The community is almost as entertaining as the Canucks.
Yeah. Yep.
It's fun to get everyone's take on everything. It's great. It's a great bathroom reading material. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely follow some of the other like NHL franchises and stuff like this, and the fan bases do not get into as much of an uproar over nothing. Like maybe one or two does. Obviously the Leafs and you got the Habs media and their fans get pretty crazy. But someone like they don't care what their director of amateur scouting did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They're like, what?
That storyline has fallen between the cracks. Like I haven't heard a Judd Brackett reference so far in game 1 or 2. Like maybe I missed it. I thought that was going to be like the underlying story for everyone.
Oh, I like that. You know what? Now you know what I can do, because we're pre-recording this one for my show tomorrow, is I can just mention Judd Brackett and we talked Judd Brackett. Stay tuned for some really juicy Judd Brackett talk.
I wish I had some Judd Brackett gossip for you, but I don't.
So, you know what? I don't have any for you guys either. And that's kind of my job. So
That's so interesting to hear, like the stuff that comes out after the fact, after all that stuff, like, was this pick something that, Linden put his foot down about, and part of that was the power struggle that led to his sort of, I won't say demise, but not being there anymore. Whose call was it ultimately? Because it seemed like between Linden, Benning, and Brackett, there was definitely a lot of posturing and a lot of power struggle between who was making those calls. Because I guess Benning's the point of pride for him, having been a former scout and a good one. But it's also interesting to see our great organization not always acting like the most professional organization out there. internally anyway.
But that all starts at the top, right? And I mean, I have no clue anything about the Aquilinis, but I mean, there's dysfunction at the top with how they're running
so
it.
tight.
Well, and you want to talk about crazy, like, you know, whether you think it was the right or wrong to let Judd Brackett walk or, you know, not make him an offer that would keep him around. Why is Lawrence Gilman not still with this organization? You want to solve the problems that plague this organization. He was basically the answer for all of that, and he was there.
Yeah, I wonder why we don't hear as much about Lawrence Gilman as we do about everybody else. Because I'm like, do you guys see what he's doing with the Leafs?
Exactly. And why is Ray Ferraro not a general manager in this league? he's the best insider of all of them.
I think that might be a question for Ray. I'll have to maybe try and find out if Ray. I don't think he wants to be a general manager.
I've heard him say in their interviews that he's had those like introductory discussions. I think it would probably have to be the right fit for him, but I could listen to him talk hockey till the cows come home, and I don't know. A lot of ego there, but he could make it work somewhere.
Oh yeah, and he's got a demeanor about him. Just the way he comes off, and he's like, "That's it, I'm done." Okay, the interview's over. It's like, what? Yeah. And he'll just do it like midpoint too, and he'll hang you on something. It's like, what? Damn it, Ray! Now I gotta wait and see.
Him and Botchford, when they would ever butt heads, was the best radio ever. I used to love that stuff for sure.
Yeah, Botchford was an absolute beauty on the radio, and definitely miss him in the Vancouver Airways and all of his stuff on the Athletic and Canucks Army before he was doing it. So rest in peace, Botch, on that one there.
We were very fortunate and humbled that we got. I don't know, maybe you might have even been there at his not memorial, but at kind of the tribute night they had organized for him at the Commodore. We were asked to play a few songs for, you know, just as part of the evening's events, and they had a couple sit-down chats, and a bunch of the big wigs in hockey broadcasting and radio, and some players were there, and it was a really, really special night. Really cool to be involved in that, in memory, you know, his memory and what he's done for the community. It was a pretty cool event.
Yeah, I wasn't able to make that one, unfortunately, but I heard very, very great things about it. So
yeah, well, and that legacy continues. Like when we talked earlier about that, you know, supportive kind of vibe. Like you can't say it was him alone, but like he was a huge galvanizing force in building that community. He was building an army, right? Yeah. And so much of that spirit still goes. And like, it's just so cool to see everybody still carrying that torch and carrying it, you know, with him as the banner, you know, of that whole thing. Like it's just cool. He's the reason I subscribed to the Athletic, and you know, and of course then that really introduced me more to like Harmon and Drance and all these, you know, amazing journalists. I mean, not everybody is summa cum laude from you know, from their university in Ontario. And we I don't think it's a secret, we're big fans of Sakaris and Price as well. Those are guys that have really, you know, become friends. You know, we'll hang, they'll come hang backstage at shows at big festivals and stuff, and we always have a good time with those guys. Although I did catch a bit of heck on the Twitter account earlier this year. I think I tweeted out that they were our second favorite sports radio segment after Rintoul and Botchford back in the old days.
Yeah,
with DeBron.
That's your opinion. You're speaking on behalf of you, because I liked DeBron. I liked Hobo or Phobo. Like that was epic radio, but I don't know that I felt they were the best. I don't know.
There's been some great duos and some really, you know, good arguments and stuff over I mean, Taylor and Pratt they were always at each other's throats. I mean, and like you said earlier, anytime Rick Dollywell's on, when he's doing his podcast on the Fridays or the Mondays, like it's just 4 hours of gold radio.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I got all the time in the world for Donnie and the Moj, and I know it's like, it's cheeseball and it's laughing all the time, and sports is like seconds to the jargon, but I love it. Taylor is, and if you probably, Joshua, you're probably, I don't know how old you are if you grew up here, but we're like that sports page generation where grew up, and Don and those guys, Shorty and
Yes.
those
Of
were
course.
like the guys we grew up watching, who are our sports guys who are telling us everything about sports. Like Don's a legend to me. Like I will listen to him as long as he's on. I will never feel that he's too antiquated or old for radio or for broadcasting for the Canucks. I got all the time in the world for Taylor.
I am 32, so I know where mom keeps the peanut butter top shelf.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right, Happy, and you're left Boolin.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Okay, so don't have much more time. So I'm with, like I said, Jeff Petrie and Matt Rose of the Matinee. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I want to get back into a little bit more of the music side of it, because I know we got a lot of stuff. Excuse me, a lot of great stuff that we got to expect from you guys in the future.
Yeah, we're yeah, totally. No, it's interesting, like having to switch up your approach to being creative and putting music together. Like we're very like very frequently we will get together and we'll get out of town, whether we head over to one of the Gulf Islands and rent a cabin and hole up for a week and just drink way too much coffee till noon and way too much beer afternoon and just try to collaborate as much as we can. Or we've gone on just trips for inspiration. We went down the West Coast, down basically to Southern Oregon, Northern California last year. We took a guitar or two, but like more with the intent of like let's go experience some stuff together. Let's get some imagery. Let's get some. Our singer Matt is awesome for kind of documenting stuff, writing down every street name that looked cool, or just little epithets of our adventures. And these days it's like, well, our rehearsal space isn't really big enough to accommodate all of us and be 6 feet apart, and we still haven't quite figured out the technology and latency and everything to jam with a Zoom call or whatever. So we're working a little more individually. Like I'll put an idea together with a progression and some lyrics and send it over to the rest of the guys and see who's interested, who wants to make some suggestions. So it's a different process for us this time, but we are well on our way to we got some grant money this year from Creative BC, which is just one of a bunch of great outlets who support the arts. And so pressure's on. The onus is on us to get some music going, but we've got some dates booked for demoing, and we've got some what I think are some pretty cool ideas that are getting built out into songs. And yeah, we're learning to be a little less precious about it these days. If we were going to make millions and millions in music, we probably would have done it by now. I mean, I'm not saying never say never, but we're definitely doing it because we love what we do. We love spending time together and collaborating and creating art and rocking out together. So, even if the process has shifted a little bit for creating content, the passion's still as strong as it was the day we started, That's
cool.
Yeah, and I think the landscape is, like we were talking about earlier, there's not going to be shows. I mean, the stuff we're hearing is best case scenario fall of next year, but really in all likelihood, I don't see a world where touring and playing live shows is not going to be till 2022. So it's a good time to be creative and a good time to be trying to find stuff to sing about and to write about and to get out to the world. But it's, our bread and butter has always been playing live, and that's kind of the way the industry has gone. That's with streaming and all that, the way to make money is to get out there and play to people. So it's a real change for us and for everyone in the industry. But hopefully that time will come sooner than later, so we can get back to doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, hope that things, like I said, it might be a little while, but when things finally do get back to normal, definitely want to make sure I come and check out one of your guys' show here in Vancouver, or if you do head over to Vancouver Island anytime. Maybe
the Canucks will have won a cup by the time we play our next show.
That would be nice. That would be nice. Okay, so I got a couple minutes left here because I obviously didn't log into my actual Zoom account, and now I'm on a time limit with my call. But live and learn on that one. So when this will air, the game will be over. They will have played game 3 against Minnesota because we got an 11:30 a.m. start time on Thursday. So I want predictions and what people are going to be talking about after the game on this one. So Jeff, you're up first.
I call it a Canucks victory. It's a shutout. It's a super tight game. It's a 2-0 win with the ICBC line getting an empty netter. And as much as I think it's just gonna be hard fought, but I think it's gonna be like a gutsy garbage goal, and I think it'll be Captain Bo. And I think people are going to be talking about Jacob Markstrom next. And well, I guess we're not going to sign Toffoli, so we better sign Markstrom. And what are we going to do about Tanev? Because he's a warrior too, and it all cycles back and around.
Love it. Okay, Matt.
It's going to be a 3-2 Coyotes.
They're still in it.
I know they are. Otherwise, a 3-2 loss for the Canucks against the Wild in overtime. And there's going to be a whole lot of debate about who's going to play, because there's going to be another significant injury to one of their forwards. And they're going to be talking about whether McEwen is going to play his first game on Friday for Game 4, and there's going to be a whole lot of controversy because it's going to be do or die on Friday night.
Well, I always love me some controversy and some controversy. So that is perfect. So Matt and Jeff, thank you so much again for joining me here on the Unnamed Sports Show. Obviously we're going to have all your Twitter handles and stuff where they can find you down at the bottom, link to your website and anything like that. But if you got anything to say or plug in, go ahead right now.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
It's true. And if you and your kids aren't listening to Rush, then you need to give your head a shake and go listen to some rock and roll.
Yeah, you need to listen to Rush. Is it like fast-paced rock music?
It's like prog rock. It's actually super nerdy. My wife hates that I talk about it, and they're not even my favorite band. I just talk about it to get her up. So
there's a lot of different paces in Rush music.
Yeah,
what is the movie?
Song.
What is that movie? I Love You, Man, where they have it. You want some Neil Peart all up in you? And she's like, no, that doesn't sound good.
That's a Sakaris band, eh? Sakaris loves Rush.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. Well, thank you again, guys, for joining me, and have yourself a great day. So, cheers.
Thanks for having us. Always a privilege to talk about stuff we're passionate about. Hockey and music are right at the top of the list. So thank you, and man, keep up the great work and good luck with the Unnamed podcast. It's been awesome so far.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you as well.